Hello, hello. Hey Diana, how you doing? Hey BL. Give it a couple of moments before we get started. Good morning, unknown ID. Hi, I just found out. How you doing? Hey Spiros. Hey Jambi. I'm doing super. Doing very well. Haven't had a trade. Had a trade last night. Haven't had a trade this morning, but still doing very well. It is towards the end of the month, so I'm in a bit of a protection mode. Last day of the month, so I'm in a bit of protection mode. Hey Sarah, good morning. Hey Jimmy. How is everyone? A couple of moments before we get started. Good morning, Lee Frank. One had an interesting trade. Hey, Juan. Good morning. Hey, Carsten. 1 more minute and we shall get started. Hang tight. Get a drink of water before we get started. Hey, Ismet. How you doing? About to get started. I think that something wrong happened. Watch list is working. Doesn't seem. If you guys are watching this on TradingView, let me know. Put it in the chat. Say hi. Okay, let's get going. So, this is the 31st of August, last day of the month. Should be in a bit of a making money, you should be in a bit of a capital protection mindset right now. But we are here on a daily market analysis. I will be giving you a bit of a review of what happened. Fundamentals, looking into the what happened last night since we spoke. Looking at the news coming up, we do have a couple of news events for today and then also into tomorrow. I'll tell you more about that. And technical analysis, where we look at where price is, with possible trade setups on one time frame. Okay, if you are new to the session, on the session, and you're new to the session, do drop a message, say hi, let me know that you're here, let me know where you're joining us from. And also, if you can help me out, click that like and subscribe button. That will help us. If you do have any questions point in time, please put it into the chat. And again, Discord link is there. Do jump on Discord. Have no. With that said, quick disclaimer: any information contained on this webinar should not be construed as advice and presented as education only. So please do your own due diligence, as the contents of this webinar is not intended to be a recommendation to trade a financial product, and your objective financial situation and not being considered, and you should consider its appropriateness to your circumstances. Okay. With that said, get that way, and I'm gonna refresh of that. Okay, good. All good, all good. Taking along. Okay. What was I going to say? Lost my train of thoughts. Okay. Um, Yesterday, again, a little bit of surprise. Well, not a bit of a surprise here. Kind of expected this. Yes, last night at 8:50 GMT plus 8, we did have the US ADP non-farm employment change number. It was a 324, got revised to 371. So it got revised upwards, but they were expecting a 194. I kind of remember, I think I remember saying it was going to be about 180, slightly lower because of what we saw on Tuesday with the JOLTS being significantly lower. So we actually expected ADP a bit lower as well, and it did come out lower at 177K. Together with that, as consumer sentiment was indicated a slowdown or a decrease in consumer sentiment on Tuesday, we were also expecting the preliminary GDP for the US quarter on quarter to slow down as well. Okay, to slow down as well. So not a big surprise that it went from a 2.4, expected to stay at 2.4, it dropped to a 2.1. So it did, right? ADP did drop, GDP did drop as well. Not a big surprise here. We did see the dollar at that 8 o'clock time last night. Dollar index here, Wednesday, 8. There. Okay. We did see that news push up a little bit before there. Okay. So we did actually see at the 8 o'clock time, dollar index was below that support level, now turned resistance of 103.5. It broke that trend line and it went straight down within the hour, next hour as well, before bouncing back up a little. So we saw that happen. Right, we saw that happen on the hour for the dollar index, pushing lower together the next hour as well before retracing back up, now pushing back up again. So dollar index did somewhat as we expected. It did not retrace as high as we thought, but the further weakness did push it down to 103.50, which was just at this trend line here. And then if it breaks the trend line, it did get down to 103.15. In fact, it went all the way down to slightly below 103, 102.94 before retracing back up. So pretty much moved as we planned, all right, or as we expected. So that was the news from last night. No big surprises there. On to today. This morning, we had the manufacturing PMI for the Chinese. It was a 49.3, expected a 49.1, came out at a 49.7, right? Still in that contractionary phase, but it's showing that it's moving away from that low 49s, moving closer towards the 50, which is moving towards that expansionary phase number. And because of that, at 9:30 a.m., because of this news, we saw the Aussie dollar 9:30, that point. Right, there we go, 9 o'clock. We saw it go up from 0.6486, pushed up to 0.65 before turning back down again. All right, so that push up is because of the Chinese. One of the reasons is because of the Chinese manufacturing PMI number. The Australians being one of the major trading partners with Australian manufacturing, with Chinese manufacturing, so we saw that push up. Okay, bit all over the place, but survive. And then with that whole bunch of numbers before this session, not super concerned. What I do want to watch from here moving forward is at 5 p.m. the Euro CPI number. It was core CPI flash estimate for the Eurozone year on year was a 5.5, expected to drop to a 5.3, right? CPI flash estimate 5.3, expected to go to 5.1. If we do see that drop in CPI number for the Eurozone, and it looks like it might be along that range, right? It looks like it might come to that 5.3 and 5.1 number. I don't think we're going to see 5, but I don't think we're going to see a 4 point something on this at this time, but a slowdown in inflation growth for the Eurozone on a core CPI and the CPI number would indicate to the ECB that maybe they have done enough, right? And could reduce the need for further rate hikes to come from the might encourage them to pause for the upcoming meeting and then delay the next decision, delay the decision into the next meeting. So that's going to be interesting. Might see some weakness on the euro dollar because of this news event. All right, what I'll watch that one, and then through the night at 8:30. So you notice that on Tuesday we had JOLTS, the US jobs number, US consumer sentiment number, which brought the dollar index down. Last night we had the ADP and the preliminary GDP number, bringing the dollar index down again. Tonight we do have the core PC price index, month to month, looking to stay at a 0.2%. If it comes out at 0.2, I don't think we'll see a 0.1, right? So if it stays at a 0.2, then we might see the dollar index come back down a little bit again. Okay, Haider just said the voice is choppy. Anyone finding it choppy? Just check the Let me just check the way the scrolls are moving. So I'm just going to ramble on a little bit to make sure it's okay. The sound working okay for you guys? Hi Desiree, how you doing? Hey Booba. Is the sound still choppy? Ishmael said it sounds fine. Trusting Cloud says it's okay. Hey Kegusi, how you doing? All right. Hey Christina. Okay, if the sound still goes a little bit choppy, then I don't know what else to do. Okay, could be a little bit louder. Okay, let me try this. And Bless says it's okay. One says it's fine. I says the sound is working fine. Let's hope that it's a little bit louder now. I'll just move the mic up a little bit. Let's hope it's good. Lainey says it's clear on Trading View. All right. Thank you, Sarah. D Frank says Euro pairs are retracing. Yep. Hey OJ Mids, how you doing? Okay. Sounds like the sound is doing okay. So either if it's still being a bit choppy, let figure something out. I'll try and I don't know what I can do to fix it right now. Okay, way better now. Fantastic. I moved it up a little bit. I'll speak a little bit louder, and we'll take it from there. All right. What was I saying? 4PC price index 0.2%, looking to stay at 0.2. I would not, I don't think I'll anticipate that it will be a 0.1. I think it stays at a 0.2. We might still see some downside. Might still see some downside on the dollar index, just continuing on the trend. But the main thing is I would be a lot more careful as we head towards the end of the month for today, and also with the non-farm payrolls to be released tomorrow. Okay, the non-farm payrolls to be released tomorrow, so I'll be watching out for that. I'll keep my trades rather short term, just in case we see any surprises there. However, I think that what we're likely to see on the non-farm payrolls tomorrow would be possibly a bit more downside on the dollar index. Okay, but I'll tell you more about the non-farm payrolls tomorrow, and I want to make sure that you guys jump onto this, where we will be trading the non-farm payrolls live together. Right, we will be trading the non-farm payrolls live together. So do make sure you jump onto my channel, my YouTube channel. It will only be streamed on YouTube. So we'll be trading that together. It will start at 8 p.m. GMT plus 8. Can jump on, help me smash that like button so that maybe you get more people onto the session as well. Okay, so that's going to be available for you guys tomorrow at 8 p.m. GMT plus 8. I'll prep you guys for the non-farm payrolls, and then we'll trade it together as it happens. With that advertisement out of the way, let's look at the charts. Okay, let's look at the charts. So dollar index, looking at the way it's going, right? It fell all the way down to 102.94, now rebounding back up. Let's take away some of this squiggly lines for now. Right, and it's bounced back up this way as well. That because it stayed below that point. This is irrelevant now. Okay, so now looking at this, my question to myself is, dollar index is retracing, right? Dollar index is retracing. Question is, how much will it retrace by before possibly turning back down again? I feel that the dollar is just very strong despite all the bad news. You see what happens is on Tuesday night, we had the news from the consumer sentiment and the and GLTS at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and we saw that big push to the downside. This was the news that pushed it down, right? Then through the day on Wednesday, yesterday, we saw it retrace back up. Then after that, on the news again, started pushing back down on the news. We saw another big push to the downside. So I'm not surprised that right now we're seeing it retrace back up again. Looking to see how far it can retrace by before possibly turning back down again. Okay. Thing to note here is that on Tuesday, where they had the big drop, on Wednesday it only retraced shy of that 38.2 level. Right, it broke out of that above 23.6, just shy of 38.2 before turning back down again. And then for yesterday's move, right? You can see now that it's breaking past 50. It's coming to that 61.8. Might get resisted at 61.8 here. Okay, so we might be looking at it doing the same thing that it did yesterday. Turn up, get slightly resisted before turning back down. Again, same thing here, might get resisted along this range before turning back down. So that's one thing I'm considering, but the strength of this retracement looks quite significant. So I wouldn't rule out that it could come all the way back up here before turning back down. So how I would test that is also looking at this, the overall move since since Tuesday, where we had that big push to the downside, and now you're looking at it breaking above 23.6, might hold at about this range. So this is that 51.8 from the short term, 38.2 from the longer term. Ultimately, what I'm looking at is it might, I've got a lot of lines here set up. So it might just come up to that range. This one. So what I'm looking at here is that the dollar index might come up, and you see it's retracing a little bit now as we speak. It might come up to about this range before turning back down. Near-term support at 103.15 could come down towards 102.80. Okay, so long as it stays below this support turned resistance level of 103.55. And in fact, that makes sense there. Okay, I'll be happy to keep that there because of these points as well. Okay, I'll bring in a little bit of a more relevant point here where we're looking at it at about this point of 103.55. So long as it stays below 103.55, I would anticipate further downside for the dollar index, for the DXY. Okay. Diana says before news will go to imbalance levels and dump. Yeah. So now it's actually catching back up on this. Don't know the term. I think it's fair value gap or something. This area here. So it's catching back up on this. So it might come back up and then turn back down again. Okay, so I'm looking for that push. And also because we're expecting the core PCE to signal some slowdown in inflation growth, leading to that leading to further weakness in dollar index, as it further supports the FOMC's view that it might not have to do anything for the September meeting. And then I think we might see it happen a little bit sooner because that, yeah, okay. So see, if the euro dollar here signals that slowdown in inflation growth or CPI, then that is going to lead to some weakness in the euro dollar. Weakness in the euro dollar is going to translate to some strength on the dollar index. So I think it's going to push up. That's why I think it's going to push up slightly, and then after that, through the night, probably push back down again. Okay, I hope it makes sense to you on that. Good morning, Angel Case. Hey, Matic, how are you doing? So what I'll be looking for here on the 31st of August would be for the dollar index to retrace to about 103, to below 103.55. Before turning back down to 103.15 and possibly 102.80. Okay, the main thing is it has to stay below 103.55 to signal continued downside. Make sense? Right, so basically what we're looking for it to do is to retrace to about 103, just below 103.55, around this range, before turning back down to 103.15 and possibly to 102.80. It needs to stay below this resistance of 103.55 to signal continued downside on the dollar index. All right, and that's also with that 50% level there providing some resistance. Okay, so I am happy with that. Happy with that? All good? Let me know. Haven't had my 3 doses of coffee for today. Second one. That's why I might be look a little bit low on energy. All right, so now looking at the charts for the Kiwi dollar. Last night or yesterday, we were expecting it to break below 0.5940 to sell down. Did not trigger that trade. Right, we saw the dollar index shooting down, so that's why we saw the Kiwi dollar shoot back up. Again, at this point, it's highlighting that that resistance, we've seen it break or fail to break before turning back down. This was a bit of a false break before turning back down again. And you see that it was outside of the Bollinger. Right, it was outside the Bollinger before it turned back down. So with that, let me just check this trend line. Don't really want to adjust this trend line like that. I'll keep it there. And it's broken, so I'll just keep it there. I will probably eventually delete that away, but for now we'll keep it there. Then looking at this, let's check some levels. Okay, all right, so now we have this. Looking at this picture, I can 50%. It did 50%. So taking this whole move up, it bounced off 50% to come back up, and then now sitting at 0.5958. What I'm thinking is that if the dollar does push up a little bit, right, before pushing back down, and that's why we see that retracement on the dollar index. We're seeing this push up on the Kiwi dollar. Expecting that dollar weakness, we should be looking for the Kiwi dollar to push to the upside, but show it to you on a bigger time frame, on an overall view, is that the Kiwi dollar has been trading along this range of 0.59, about 0.59 to just below 0.6, right? This 100 pip range, it's been in that range since about the 14th of August, bouncing along there. So what I'm looking for, why I'm hesitating, I'll tell you why I'm hesitating here is because I see this. I see this at a resistance level, right, with a neckline about there. So that looks like we could be looking at some downside if it breaks through that level. But we're expecting that dollar weakness, so we're expecting this to push up. Okay, so there is a chance of a head and shoulder, but what I'm looking for instead is to see this on a longer view, right? And you can see from this move down, come all the way down here. It stopped at that 50% level. Right, it hit 50% and it stopped at the 50% level. So the Kiwi dollar is going to be a little bit tricky. It's very close to that 61.8. Take this trend line away. Messy. That one away. I would say that this would push up. Dollar index is, well, it's turning back down. So it's not even retracing as high as we expect, it looks like. Okay, might revise the dollar index there later. But we're still looking at the downside. Okay, so what I'll possibly be looking for here on the Kiwi dollar is expecting that dollar weakness. What I'll be looking for here would be above yesterday's high, 0.6010. Okay, stop loss 30 pips. Take profit. You could go all the way up 120, but I don't see a reason why you get to 120. Maybe onto tomorrow if the non-farm payrolls is terrible with your continuation to the upside. Your take profit could be there with level in the middle here to consider. Okay, and that's about a 80 pip move to the upside. In fact, I would say that no, 80 is fine. Okay, so that's what I'll be looking for here on the Kiwi dollar. There is 61.8 a little bit close by, but I think if it pushes up from here, pushes up to an entry, we'll see momentum push this to the upside. So Kiwi dollar, this is on dollar weakness, which we're seeing in the pin bar forming up right now. We're looking to buy 0.6010, stop loss 30 pips, take profit. I would say 80 for now. I don't see why it should get to 120. So I say 80, which is at that point there. Okay, 85 even. But 80 will be. All right, I'm happy with that. In the alternate scenario, there is a head and shoulder, but I think more likely we're going to see this push to the upside. Okay, I'm happy with that. Any questions on the Kiwi dollar? I think we're just trying to find that directional bias. Yeah, I think this might be retracing. I don't even think 103.35, maybe 104.40. Why the market react to ADP for a couple of months now? The market always reacts to the ADP. Always reacts to the ADP. Yeah, it always reacts to the ADP. It reacts more to the NFP after that as well. Okay. Yep. So then, same thing with the Aussie. Did not trigger the trade. To the downside. Now take that away. I'm a bit less. See, this Aussie dollar here has that push upwards. Okay, and I think it's going to continue up, but it's just at this point that I don't feel that you should be getting into a trade. Right? Why I'm thinking that is because if you were looking to get in at this point, there are a couple of intermediate levels that you need to watch out for. So an example would be if it breaks up from there, you only have a good 30 pips. Even if you got in at this point, it's a 40 pip move. Stop loss would be about 25. Not a super good risk to reward there, right? So that's one reason why I would say that I'll be a bit more cautious on the Aussie. Between the Aussie and the Kiwi, I would prefer the Kiwi dollar, just breaking above that resistance. You look for continuation to the upside. I would say that as a speculative choice, if we see a sudden surprise, very low chance of this, I would say, but if we see a sudden surprise, dollar strength, 6,455, stop loss very tight at 20 pips. Take profit could go down to 70 pips to the downside. Right? That's a dollar strength scenario. But so what our plan for the Aussie would be either it sits around here and pushes down, or I'll be looking for it to go up, test and reject, then back down. From here to here, I don't think it's worth trying to catch a trade. I think the better opportunities across the other currency pairs. Okay, so and this, like I was talking to one of you guys, the idea of a very good risk to reward is not so much about your target level, more about keeping your stop loss quite tight. As it breaks that support, you might be able to keep your stop loss as it breaks, momentum pushing it down. You might even keep a stop loss very tight, and then your risk to reward becomes very nice from there. Okay, so I'll be looking at that. Hi Val, how are you doing? Hope you had a good holiday. Hope you had a good holiday. Welcome back. Hi Da Phantom, you're slightly late, but better late than never. So Aussie dollar as a dollar strength, low chance of a dollar strength scenario, 6,455, 20 pips to 70 pips. Oh, I have it there already. So we say this is on a low chance of DXY strength. Hi, Solid Snakes. And look at that. That's just pushing down. It's almost not worth thinking of a dollar strength scenario. It's come back up slightly and pushed back down again. So if I did this, I just want to check something. Right, so it came up to that 50% level. Out of that fair value gap, what I find, or what it's always said, that it comes to that 50% level and then it comes back down. So that's why we see that pushing back down again. So we're still looking for that dollar weakness scenario. I just don't like the risk to reward in that push up. Okay. Okay, good. So this is a bit of a speculative on why. I would rate this as low chance, but going to be there as idea. Okay, then with that, on the, I got a lot of scribbles here because I was just doing a one-to-one yesterday about the US yen. We had an example that if we were selling down at that point, 146.30, take profit down there at a support, but we would be considering to close out at the 61.8 level. Worked perfectly in this scenario. So yesterday we were saying buy up, did not push up, but it worked perfectly. Came down to 61.8 at that 145.60 or .70 level before pushing back up again. All right, so if you know who I'm talking about, if you know who you are, I hope you had a good trade on the US yen to the downside. Now, again, expecting that dollar weakness to continue. And this is why you need to get onto the one-to-one with me. I'll be sharing with you this kind of analysis. And the only way you get onto the one-to-one is if you jump onto the Discord channel, and the link will be there. Yeah, I didn't know whether you wanted me to say your name, Desiree, but yeah, Desiree got onto that, was on the call, and we were talking about that US yen to the downside. Still holding a little bit. It's a fair trade to hold on to. What I'm looking for here on the US yen, that dollar weakness to continue, likely to push the US yen back down again. Again, if it breaks below 61.8, which is that 145.70 level, I'll look for it to break below 145.60, so 145.55. Stop loss very tight here at about 20 pips. Take profit almost 60 pips to the downside. Could you target this point here at 90? You could. I'm just putting it down to 145, firstly because it's a round number, and then also because of how it bounced off, broke through quite strongly at that point. Okay, so that's the move for the US yen, anticipating that dollar weakness. The thing I would urge caution on for this would be that you see how the yen drops, hits a level, retraces very strongly. This was on Wednesday. Again on Wednesday night, or this was Wednesday early morning. Again on Wednesday night last night, it came down, hit a strong level, and bounce back up. Needs to break this level, and I anticipate that we could see it come. If it does come and break it, and we might see it bounce quite strongly back up again, right? So I wouldn't be too adventurous on the US yen. I would look to, there's that persistent yen weakness there. So I'll be very careful. Big drop in the dollar index could drive it down. Look to close out the trade before it bounces again. Dollar index is really undecided. And I'll show you this as well, is that this big drop, it pretty much retraced back up to that 50% level. Okay, then again, this big drop, it retraced more than the 50 and 61.8 before turning back down again. So big strong retracements on the dollar yen. Be very careful with that. Hit a level, close out your trade. Not something that you want to try and hold on and try and maximize on, okay? Because we're likely to see big strong retracements. With that, I can take away this channel because it's well broken already. So 145.55, stop loss, 20 pips, take profit, 50 pips, 55. Okay, let's do that. I wouldn't encourage, might go down to 50, but you could be deciding at 145, in position 145. So we're looking for this to sell down 145.55, stop loss 20, take profit 55, 145.00 round number support. Okay, go. Val, you might have missed the announcement not notice, is that I will be trading the non-farm payrolls live on the YouTube stream together with you guys, 8 p.m. GMT plus 8. So if you want to trade live together, do make sure you join on. Okay, it's on the YouTube channel already, scheduled. So that's the US yen pound dollar. This is a trade I took last night, right? Actually, I had this put in. I had the order put in because I wasn't watching at that point I was just taking a bit of a speculative move. So it shot up, hit my take profit. Very happy with that 50. I don't think I did 52. I think I did 50 pips on that move up. Okay, so hope you guys got onto the pound dollar. I was very happy with that trade. Let me know if you did get onto the pound dollar. So that worked like a charm, 50 pips to the upside, broke above that 61.8 level. That's done. Let's take that away and that away. Now that it's above or it's testing that resistance, looks like that downward trend line, which was providing the resistance, is now providing some level of support. And if I'm checking this, looking at levels, it's retraced slightly down to that 23.6 level, looking to push back up. You know, that dollar strength, we're still looking at it retracing before coming back down. So what I would say that the pound dollar might do is that it's possibly going to stay along this range. Might have a fake break to the downside, but I'm still looking for it to test higher, anticipating that dollar weakness. So break above 1.2725, say 1.2735. Take profit 50 pips. Stop loss very tight, no more than 20, no more than 25. You can go 1:2 to the upside there. Right, so we're looking for it to do whatever it does here. All I'm looking for is to break up above 1.2725 to buy it up for that 50 pips upside move towards that. We have a cap at 1.28, but this forms as a nice area. Right, so that's my for that move. That 1.2735, 50. Okay. 735. Stop loss 25. Take profit 50. There we go. There. Good. Okay. Then with that, I got 40 pips of pound dollar in demo as the first day back on the charts after my holiday. Analysis match, but I couldn't resist. Good stuff. Good. Hey, that at least you're testing out your strategy. At least you're testing out your analysis. You know that it works. That builds a bit of confidence. So all good, all good. Do you wait for a retest? I would say that it's possibly going to consolidate along this range. So I wouldn't look for a... I'll look for it to close above 1.2735. So I don't think I'll wait for a retest. All right, I'll wait for it to close above before I'll get in. Then on to the euro dollar. Did not trigger because we saw that dollar weakness. Now euro dollar pushing down at that 1.09. Nice round number level there. Right? As we were talking, expecting at 5 p.m. some downside on the euro dollar. Right? Expecting some downside on the euro dollar. So it could, and I like how it's tested up and resisted by this level, pushing back down. This is done this way, and check this. Breaks. I'm just wary of that pushing, of the dollar index pushing back down. So as much as I would like to see the euro dollar drop massively, I'm just being cautious here. Bollinger's reasonable. 10 minutes to the hour close. So if the hour closes like that, we could see this drop down um, to about this level 61.8 there. Okay, and we have after this we have 1 hour to the news. So what I could be looking, this could be a very short term, very quick trade, would be at about below 109, 1.09, and breaking that 23.6 level, 1.0895. Very close, it's very, very close. Stop loss 25, just above, no more than that. Then take profit down 50 pips, but you could be looking to close out even at that point. 50% retracement level, which coincides with that previous point, right? The reason why I'm hesitant, I don't like that stop loss level. I don't like that stop loss level. I would say that it should be there, should be 30, but it would not be a good risk to reward, not very attractive risk to reward. I would like to see it retrace back up a little bit in the next 8 minutes, which is asking for a lot, or pushing back down. If it does push down, then you might even get away with a 20 pip stop loss. 20 pip just above that previous handle, and then push down. I would like that a lot more. Okay, 1.0895. Stop loss 20, take profit 50. 0.0895, stop loss 20, take profit. That's a quick one, expecting that the euro CPI number is going to drag the euro dollar down, that we're going to see that happen. I think that if the dollar does weaken further, then we might see this move come down, test, and then bounce back up again. So might have another buy to the upside later into the trading session tonight. Again, update you guys on the Discord channel. I am happy with that. In fact, it's coming very close. In fact, if it does close like that, could be looking for an entry in the next 7 minutes. Might retrace a little bit, but then I will own it close below this. Okay. Then on to the US Swiss franc. This was the news. It came, where were we? We were here, right? We were looking for it to break down. It did come down only not many pips, 20 pips, before shooting back up again, way outside of Bollinger Band. Look at that. That's the biggest hint to you that if you did get in at that point, 0.8770, make 20 pips way outside Bollinger Band on the H1 time frame, close out the trade on that close of the candle, because you pretty much know that it's going to rocket back up again. Okay, so take that away. If you did not close, you would have hit your stop loss on that. Right now, what you should notice again is that, right? And then not a perfect neckline, but that level of 0.88 is forming again. And it would coincide with that 50% level. But for this to push up means that we're going to see some dollar strength, persistent dollar strength scenario. So this again can be a counter position, a counter trade position, 0.8810. I would Okay, put another line there. Would want to consider this as my resistance. Have that whole area as my resistance area. Then I would consider that move. I'd stop no more than 20 pips for that push up. Right? And this is on the dollar. So we have dollar weakness, dollar strength scenario. 0.8810 stop loss 20, take profit 55 on dollar strength. And that's also why we say it's a risky counter trend, did not last very long. So 0.8810 stop loss 20, take profit 50, 50, 55, 50. Oh, right, and that's on a DXY strength. Very similar to what we plan for Aussie dollar. So in a dollar weakness scenario, you know what to do. Dollar strength scenario, you know what to do as well. Okay. Then onto the US CAD. Again, same thing. It broke down, came to the low. It's up just to show you guys. It came to the low that we saw on the 22nd of August. Again on the 24th. Again, it came down on the 30th before bouncing back up. Right, on these two levels. So this was a trade that made about 30 pips to the downside. Again, if you did get onto that, let me know. Swiss franc on daily starts looking bearish. Okay, let's go back to that for a quick check. The daily time frame. I know why you say it's bearish. See why you think it's bearish, but if you consider that testing, it might push back up. Might push back up. So it's within that channel to the upside. Right? And also that there is that doji right there along that short-term trend line. The only thing about the Swiss franc is that a push back up would mean, and there's nothing big happening on the Swiss franc at this point. I don't see any big weakness there. So it would be that dollar strength scenario pushing up, and we're seeing dollar weakness potentially. But I think it's worth a pop, worth that try upside there on the US Swiss franc with that pattern forming as well. So we have that line about there at that 50%. That's why I'm looking at this move. Hope I answered your question there, or added to your question there, Frank. Then onto the US CAD. Tested this level. See, it's really interesting here is that we're seeing the US CAD turn down a little bit, but yet we're seeing the dollar index push up. It should be pushing up with that some dollar strength being applied right now. Right? So again, it's had that big drop, bouncing back up. I would say that this will be a small trade, a smallish trade, where you would be looking for it to break down. So 1.3, below 1.35, take profit 40 pips, stop loss very tight at 20. Right, let it break down and then we'll see that. But I'm thinking, look at that. I'll move this a little bit so we're looking at the dollar index still pushing up a little bit to retest. I'm wondering whether it could come all the way back up. That one is done. That one away. I'm testing this point, right? It's just holding under that 23.6 level now. Could it come back up to 50%? Don't see why it would. I would love for it to come back up so that I can short from that resistance level, but I don't see why it will come back up that much. So I think that let it do whatever it does in this space. Let it do whatever it does in this space. I'm only looking to sell down. Best case scenario would be for it to test and then I will sell down. But if it just sits in that range, then I'll be looking for it to just break down for a quick trade down. All right. So 1.35, stop loss 20, take profit 40. This point is reasonable, but I think that more reasonably we could go for those here, which would bring it back to this point, 5. Yep, breaks past this point, so you can see this whole thing as an area. This whole thing as an area. If it breaks past this, then we could see a further downside push. Okay, yep, coming out. So I'm looking at this 1.35, 20 to 55. Sell 1.35. Stop loss 20. Take profit 55. There is. It's going to take a while. I don't think it's going to be a rush to happen. It's going to take a while. Look at that euro dollar, euro dollar, euro dollar. Looking for that downward push. That trade would be live, would be happening right now. If you are jumping onto this trade, the disclaimer applies. Please be careful. 1 second. Taking a little bit of a risk, but I will be in this trade too. Okay, done. So that's the trade that we're in right now. Matic said, tricky moment, dollar weakness versus fundamentals weak. What's ROW? Don't know what ROW is. Okay, so we're watching this, we're letting it run on the euro dollar. You are on that trade as well, let me know. Then gold, China, we did this. No, Desiree, we did this. Right, we were talking about this, about that bull flag or bull pennant. And then it broke out. We were talking about scalping this up on a 1 minute time frame. Not only scalping, if you did a longer term trade, this would have worked perfectly. We were saying that continuation of the upside above 1939 could reach 1944. Now it went up to 1949, almost 1945, 1950, but sitting at 1945. Again, it looks like another very similar one that we saw from yesterday. Again, that push up and that, but now this time it's forming a bit of a triangle, right? Still looking for that upward move. I would break up. I don't think it'll get to 1967. I think that 1955 as a level here would be reasonable. So breakout. Hey Carson, well done. Rest of the world versus weak fundamentals for the rest of the world. So it's all in relative terms. It's all in relative terms. It's like weak dollar, but everyone else is weak. So in the end, it looks like some dollar strength, but overall, you see that still pushing to the downside. Okay, so 1948, above 1948 to 1955. Again, now we say continuation of the upside above 1948 could reach 19. All right, there we have it. Okay, there we have it. Any questions? Let me know. Took a little bit longer. I was just not in the groove today. I'm all over the place, but took a little bit longer than expected. But there we have it. If you have not already, please join the Discord channel. Link is there. We'll catch up more there. I will be watching the euro dollar as it goes. I'll be giving you guys the updates. Happens. We do have a news at 5 p.m. And from there, if not, I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you on Discord. If not, I'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. And remember, tune in to the live stream for the non-farm payrolls. So with that, take care, trade well. Hey Jamilu, trade well, trade safe, and I'll see you again. End of this month, and like BL said, so be careful if you are in capital or profit preservation mode. Change to that mode, keep to that mode, don't go crazy. Look to build for next month. All right. So take care now. Bye bye. Thanks, Laney. Thanks, Goju. Thanks, Matic. Thanks, Vel. Welcome back. Happy full moon. Thanks, OJ Meds. Take care now. Bye.